All right, I'm using my phone, not my usual camera, but this one has a pretty good camera in it. This is going to be my workbench, my movie theater seat here. But just showing you the bits that you're going to need. Uh, I got a Noctua NF-A8 fan. Um, Figures this doesn't auto zoom or autofocus. There we go. An NA VC1. This is what converts the 24 down to 12. Phillips screwdriver, pair of scissors or cutters. I have my multi-tool here. I use that to push the wire in the connectors. And then if you have one of these, it helps. This is actually for a car, for removing the plastic trim pieces and whatnot. Come in handy when trying to remove the fan from the amp. If you don't have one of those, a regular household fork, metal fork, will work as well. All right, let me get this stuff out of the way and get the amp over here and start the process. All right, here's the amp. This is actually a 4-channel amp, but they're all pretty similar inside if you're messing with the DCA model. I'm just going to remove all the screws, take the cover off. The cover's actually on the bottom. They have these amps like built upside down. So I'm going to pull this cover off and then go through the process. All right. And then you'll want to be careful with the cardboard pieces. They're actually in there to direct airflow. There's one on the side here. One on the other side. The fan just goes down to a connector on the board. We'll reuse this connector. And then they lift out. And we'll put this to the side for a little bit. So the fan is just pressed on, nothing holding it on, except these two guys. And that's what you'll need your fork or your tool for. And if you can get in from behind and give them a little pry first. That'll make it come out a little bit in the front so you can grab it with the tool. And just put that to the side. This guy comes off. And then you'll want to keep the little end. These wires are just pressed in there. Just remember that with the hump on the top, the right is the positive. So right, red, RR. Don't forget that. And then these, you can just wiggle these wires and they'll come right out. Save that little blue connector. Fan you don't really need. So from the fan, things you'll need is just the fan and this long extension cable. And then the voltage converter. And that's it. You'll end up cutting this off, leaving a little bit of the wires, not much. And you only need the black and yellow. You can cut the blue and green. And then put this to the side. And make sure when you put this back together that you're looking at the airflow that way. So you want to blow in and out the front of the amp. And then this will just press back on. Just like that. And then these guys snap back in here. All right, back in the amp. So these wires, see if I can get a better. I have to edit that. We'll see. Hump on the top. Right is red or positive. And this hump, you just shove the wire in there. Hold it. And down it'll clip in the bottom. There. Hold it. And clip in the bottom. It's not done. Can't really get that to focus. There we go. You'll still have to press down in the center here with a little flat blade screwdriver. And then I suggest if you have a test meter, you continuity test to make sure that the metal here is making it to the pin. You don't want to put this back together and find out that the fan's not turning and burn up your amp. So let me press these in. And let me get my test meter. All right. So, continuity test. And you'll just want to check from the pin. Looks like I may not have it. Nope, let's try the second pin. That one worked, but the ground is not pressed in enough. All right, let's try that again. There's the ground. And there's the positive. And then plugging it in. And just leave it off to the side for now. This is actually the hardest part of this whole process, is getting this back in. There's two little teeth here in the bottom of the amp. This bit of PC board has to go in those, and that's what locks this back in. And then there's these three teeth that go between the heat sinks. So got the teeth in. Now trying to get the bottom of the board in. Still not in. There we go. And the cardboard kind of hinges back in there. Little pieces go back. And then you can plug this guy into the voltage converter. That's really it. I'll throw the top back on, won't bore you with that, and we'll see what it sounds like. All right, we'll see if we can capture the sound of the amplifiers before the fan mod when they start up here. That's about from 2 feet away, and we'll get up right next to them. About 2 inches away. All right, all 3 amps are back in with all the new fans. And let's see what they sound like, all 3 starting up at the same time. And then we'll get right up on it. And I feel the airflow, but they're just so darn quiet. All right, before everybody starts freaking out and saying that this fan is going to make the amp burst into flames, listen, it's not. The fan specs are right here. Yes, the Noctua fan has less airflow and less static pressure. I mean, that's one of the ways to make a fan quieter. Keep in mind, these amps were designed to run in venues and in hot rooms. We're not doing that. If you're trying to make it quieter, you're probably using this in your home theater like I am. And there's a temperature sensor on the transistors on the heatsink. So as it heats up, it'll force the fan speed to increase. So if it does get hot, it'll cool itself down. All right, I hope this video helped somebody. I saw another one out there and it wasn't very clear that it made it quieter, but I wanted to put Noctua fans in here, and ever since I found the voltage converter, that's what drove me to go ahead and finish this project. All right, do me a favor at least, if you can like the video or subscribe even, that'd be awesome. Those two things just kind of let me gauge on the usefulness of my videos. All right, have a good one.